Hello, everyone, and welcome to Date Night. Tonight we are speed dating some books. I've been very scatterbrained lately, and all I want to do is read, and I want to read all the books at the same time. Since that is a terrible idea, I decided to grab all the books that I have not read yet, not including like sequels or books in a series that I've already started, and I put them all in a very disorganized mess onto these crooked, one could say unstable shelves. And I'm going to be reading the first lines of all these books to see if we'd be a good match, if maybe we want to date. So that's what we're doing today. I have some mood lighting, I have some candles, and I have this nice glass of water that we're going to pretend is Merlot. And we're going to date some books. So let's see, our first suitor is Last Days by Adam Neville. I've never read any Adam Neville. I know he's a horror author. I don't know anything about this book. And I'm not sure what to do when there's a prologue and a chapter one. I think let's go with the prologue. I think it's there for a reason, so let's see. And the woman could hear those old friends moving in the distant and not so distant rooms of her home. I love it. I'm a sucker for weird buildings. Distant and not so distant rooms and people in them. I'm down. Give me like back rooms, Gormenghast, weird houses any day of the week. This is we're one for one. That is my top contender at the moment. But next up, I have The Revisionaries by A.R. Moxon. I don't know anything about this. I bought this at Barnes & Noble because I thought it looked pretty. Judging books by covers and first lines, so not that shallow. They cut all the loonies loose. Again, I love it. That's great. I love that the narrator is calling them loonies like it's derogatory, but he's like familiar with them. So I feel like there's some beef there, and I want to know what this narrator's beef is with the crazy people. And I want to know why they were let loose. So Last Days has some competition. These are both going to the top. Next, High Rise by J.G. Ballard. Know nothing about. Oh, there's a postcard in it. Pretty. If they were using it as a bookmark, they didn't get very far. So this is used, by the way, and that doesn't bode well. Let's see. Later, as he sat on his balcony eating the dog, Dr. Robert Lang reflected on the unusual events that had taken place within this huge apartment building during the previous 3 months. How is it possible that I already have 3 that I'm super interested in? I'm usually really picky, but that was great. Just throwing out that dog line right away. Top tier, let's do it. Next up, Felix Gilman's The Half-Made World. I think this is like a steampunk book, and I haven't read and don't like a ton of steampunk. Like, not a huge fan of like Books of Babel. Another bookmark that was left really early on in the book, so again, doesn't bode well. Let's see. All right. One fine spring afternoon, when the roses in the garden of the Königswald Academy were in bloom, and the lawns were emerald green and the river was sapphire blue, and the experimental greenhouses burst with weird life, the professors of the Faculty of Psychological Sciences met in the faculty's ancient August Hall in a handsomely appointed upstairs library, where they stood in a little group drinking sherry and saying goodbye to their colleague, Dr. Lisbeth Alverweisen, Liv to her friends, who was, against all reasonable advice, determined to go west. Love it. Love the descriptions. Very like sensual in those gardens and the sapphire. Oh, you know what? There's a prologue. That was chapter 1. I feel like I've been lied to a little bit. I feel like this guy walked in and kind of love bombed me and like looked really good, but then like later you found out he was lying about it all because there's a prologue. So that shouldn't have been my first impression of him. Should actually have been, the general lay flat on his back, arms outflung, watching the stars. Still good. Not as good as chapter 1, but I do wonder what this general is doing, being so casual and just laying around with his arms flung out. So this is good, but I have to put it just a step down just because it didn't represent itself accurately when it came into the date. So Yeah. All right. Oh, we have a visit from our producer. Hello, producer. Oh, got demon eyes. Very accurate. Okay, on you go. We have books falling down. Ghosts in the Snow by Tamara Seiler Jones. I bought this at a used bookstore, not knowing anything about it. I don't think I even read the back. It reminded me of those kind of gothic mystery thrillers that I read in middle school. So I bought it for the nostalgia. And it begins: Dubric Byerly, castellan of Faldora, sat alone at a small table in the castle kitchen, his mangled breakfast congealing before him. Automatically love mangled and congealing in the same sentence. That is real visceral, and I really like it. I also appreciate throwing out the hoity-toity name and title right away, and the fact that he's sitting alone in the castle kitchen. I'm interested. So this is more top tier for me. I don't know. I'm still kind of on this book because I've literally never heard anything about it. So who knows what it is or if it's good. But based on the first sentence, yes, I'm willing to give that book a second date. This cat is so up in my business right now. You are not on this date. All right. We've got White Noise by Dawn DeLillo? Not sure. This book's been on my list for 15 years, and I've just never read it. I think I've had this book for 15 years. It is not in the best shape. But don't judge, the outside. That's not what we're here to do. The station wagons arrived at noon in a long shining line that coursed through the West Campus. Don't really care. Didn't grab me. Not into it. Next. We have Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. I actually think this is a nonfiction book, but it's written in a really fictionalized way. So I think it counts. It's a Southern Gothic type novel, if I don't know anything. He was tall, about 50, with darkly handsome, almost sinister features, a neatly trimmed mustache, hair turning silver at the temples, and eyes so black they were like the tinted windows of a sleek limousine. He could see out, but you couldn't see in. I'm into it. I like this description of this person. I like that he didn't stop with just tinted windows. It's tinted limos of a sleek limousine. I feel like I can really see who he's describing, and I want to know more about him. I'm very interested in this so far. I'm going to put this right next to The Half-Made World under the top tier. All right. I have high expectations for this. This is Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. I absolutely love Nabokov. I think his prose is probably the best I've ever read. I think he's just an amazing wordsmith. I love everything about Nabokov. I highly expect to really want to read this. Canto 1. I was the shadow of the waxwing slain by the false azure in the window pane. I was the smudge of ashen fluff, and I lived on, flew on in the reflected sky. This speaks to my soul, so it is definitely going in the top tier. This man came in wearing a suit and a nice watch. He knows what he's about, and you're going to have a good time with him. So, top tier. Yes, sir. Yes, please. Next, we have A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. This is the first book in the Long Price Quartet. Prologue is spelled Prolog, so that's unsettling off the bat. Ota took the blow on the ear, the flesh opening under the rod. Bottom tier. Don't care. Get out of here, producer. Stuart McBride, Halfhead. Once again, I'm completely ignorant of what this book is about. There's blood everywhere. I'm immediately interested. Mid-tier with Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I kind of wish it was a little bit more descriptive, but I really like that. Just quick, blunt, concise. There's blood everywhere. You know what you're going to get. So I'm into it. And Irvin Welsh's Marabou Stork Nightmares. This is supposed to be a really dark book. I think Irvin Welsh is the one responsible for Train Spotting. It. The first sentence is it. It was me and Jameson. It's the anti-McCarthy, whereas McCarthy uses zero punctuation. This guy uses nothing but punctuation. it almost has like a pace that makes me want to keep going, just because like there's so many stopping points. It makes it feel really forward momentum. So that does get me really interested. And there's some really interesting text layouts here, kind of like House of Leaves, raw sharp texts, and I really am into that. So I'm going to put this in same tier as Half Head, step down from the really good ones that I've liked so far. Next, I have The Water Knife by Paolo Bacigalupi. Side note, I hate the pages that are like corrugated. I find it really difficult to just like turn a page. I always grab multiple when the pages are like this, and I don't like that at all. So this guy did not show up in his Sunday best. There were stories in sweat. I love that. From what I know of The Water Knife, it is about like water wars and desertification, and just that line, there were stories in sweat, makes me feel like this book is going to contain a lot of suffering. And I'm really into that. So this is gonna go, in that same really interested tier, just under the top tier. I feel like I'm not being as picky as usual. I usually am not as, receptive to. Cat keeps shutting the camera off. Next, see, I don't even remember if I did the last one. She came up and like bit the cord and then ran away, and then came back and bit me and then ran away. So I don't know. I think I skipped one. Next on the list, I have Black Moon by Kenneth Calhoun. I bought this because, oh my god, look at her. Like, who cares what it's about? But it does also have the corrugated pages, which is unfortunate. Let's see. Biggs ran in bursts down the street, wanting to move quickly but without attracting attention. It's okay, it's mid. Next. Cinnamon and Gunpowder by Eli Brown. I'm not sure why, but this makes me think of Legends and Lattes. I'm not sure if it's even close to in the same like slice of life, lighthearted fantasy category. Starts out, this body is not brave. I really like that. I like the separation of like self and body. This body is not brave. There's like some dissociation going there. And I like that. I'm into it. This is the second step down tier. I should have made tier names. Next, Jeffrey Gennedy's Middlesex. I bought this because I love the edition. I think this cover is beautiful. Once again, for the third time, I judged a book on its cover. I know this is pretty much a classic, but I don't know anything about it. I was born twice. First as a baby girl on a remarkably smogless Detroit day in January of 1960. And then again as a teenage boy in an emergency room near Petoskey, Michigan in August of 1974. Really like it. It reminds me a lot of the previous one, This Body is Not Brave. I was born twice. I really like that, kind of flipping that strange, not expectation, but, it's got that little unexpected quality to it. So, yes, same tier, middle tier. Middle tier stacking up a little bit more. That first wow tier is, I don't think we've added one since Pale Fire. Let's see. Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children. No clue what this is about. I was born in the city of Bombay once upon a time. Don't care. The last one said I was born twice. That's something interesting. This is just I was born in a city. Like, so was I. Everyone was born in a city. So, not much doing it for me there. Benjamin Wood's The Ecliptic. Beautiful cover. I bought this on some weird recommendations. I was looking for weird books, like I do, and this was one of the ones that came up. I think it's like an artist retreat story. He was just 17 when he came to Portmantle, a runaway like the rest of us, except there was a harrowed quality about this boy that we had not seen before in any of the newcomers. That is a lot of words that don't really say very much. So yeah, I don't care. I already don't care about this boy. Bottom tier. The Golem and the Jinni by Helene Wecker. I know this is one of my friend Edgar's very favorites. It has the corrugated pages. What are these called? I know it's not corrugated pages, but I don't know what they're called. I have such a hard time turning these things. Like, they all stick together. No. The Golem's life began in the hold of a steamship. It's okay. I don't care. These are like the dudes that can't hold the conversation. I've never been speed dating, so I have no idea what I'm talking about, but these guys, they're not for me. Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. Again, not a clue what it's about. Lost in the shadows of the shelves, I almost fall off the ladder. I was with it for Lost in the Shadows of the Shelves. That was cool. But then I fell off the ladder. Gives me nothing. Like, falling off the ladder is nothing groundbreaking. I want to know why. And I want to know in the first sentence. Like, really grab me, please. The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. I have not read any Mikhail Bulgakov, but I love the adaptation of his work, The Young Doctor's Notebook. It's really absurd, really dark, got that, like, Russian bleakness that I love. At the hour of sunset on a hot spring day, 2 citizens appeared in the Patriarch's Ponds Park. First of all, that is a tongue twister, and I don't like that right off the bat. And yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really give me a whole lot to work with, so unfortunately this is bottom tier. Dark Matter, A Ghost Story by Michelle Paver. Not to be confused with Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which is an incredible book, and everyone should read it. This is a horror novel. And it starts out with a letter. Dear Mr. Murchison, forgive me for this rather belated reply to your letter. I don't care. It's a letter. I don't know any of you people. Like, why am I don't want to read your letters. Bottom tier. Richard Powers, Orfeo. I really like Richard Powers' book, The Overstory. It's like a story from the perspective of, like, trees. Read it a long time ago. An Overture, Then. Lights blaze from an American craftsman home in a demure neighborhood, late on a spring evening in the 10th year of the altered world. I love that. I love the altered world. It gives you just enough to be really intrigued by what's going on, but gives you absolutely nothing else. And I already feel like the musicality, you know, from, I think I know there's like something about a symphony, just from what I read on the back, but I can see that already. I don't know how biased I am because I read the back. But this is going in that middle tier. I had that one that fell. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I've read David Mitchell's The Bone Clocks, and I really liked it, but I don't know anything about Cloud Atlas, and I have not seen the movie. But I do like David Mitchell's style. Beyond the Indian hamlet, upon a forlorn strand, I happened on a trail of recent footprints. I don't really care. Bottom tier. Why do I have so many books? This isn't even that many. Maestra by L.S. Hilton. I'm probably just mispronouncing absolutely everything I'm saying. Heavy hems and vicious heels swooped and clacked over the parquet. I wish it was a little bit longer. I do like the vicious heels. It makes me think that the narrator might be like a villain figure, and it kind of reminds me of Devil Wears Prada, which I love. So this is mid-tier. Mid-tier is really stacked. All right, Hawkwood's Voyage by Paul Kearney. This is the first book in the Monarchies of God series. I think it's fantasy. A ship of the dead. It coasted in on the northwest breeze, topsails still set, but the yards braced for a long-lost wind on the open ocean. Not gonna lie, not into boats right now. Not feeling nautical right now. Just not. Don't care. Even though it's a ship of the dead. I mean, no. Earthsea, A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have not read any Le Guin, but she is on my list, but I do know that this is like more of a middle grade series, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to like it. Not that there's anything wrong with middle grade, it's just not really for me. I like really bad things to happen in my books. The Island of Gaunt, a single mountain that lifts its peak a mile above the storm-racked Northeast Sea, is a land famous for wizards. I'm not a big fan of like opening with geography, so this is a no from me. That was quite a boring first line. I have Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessel. I think this is like Dark Academia. I have no idea. Dad always said a person must have... This is the introduction. Never mind. I never read the introduction. I never read the foreword. I never read author's notes by other authors. No. Before I tell you about Hannah Schneider's death, I'll tell you about my mother's. Don't care. Little Big by John Crowley. Yet another thing I know anything about. Table of contents is kind of cool. It's got like a family tree and like they're like whole paragraphs in the table of contents. On a certain day in June 19 blank blank, a young man was making his way on foot northward from the great city to a town or place called Edgewood that he had been told of but had never visited. More geography. Don't care. I don't know any of these people, so I don't care where they're going. I haven't looked at the map because I don't look at the map until I'm invested, so don't care. Sarah Perry's Melmoth. Another weird book that I bought based on looking for weird books. Another book with corrugated paper. Hate it. Look. That's the first sentence. Look. It is winter in Prague. Night is rising in the mother of cities and over her 1,000 spires. More describing cities. More not caring. KJ Parker's 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City. I read some KJ Parker novellas, and I'm actually really excited to start the Engineers trilogy, which I do have and is somewhere, but not on this bookshelf. I was in classes on business. That's it. Don't care. Jerzy Kosinski's The Painted Bird. I know this is supposed to be a real messed up book. Not sure why. It starts with an afterword. I'm not sure if that's like a joke or a printing error. I would have expected that more out of Irvin Welsh than this. In the first weeks of World War II, in the fall of 1939, a 6-year-old boy from a large city in Eastern Europe was sent by his parents, like thousands of other children, to the shelter of a distant village. I do want to know why he's seeking shelter, but it's Eastern Europe, like right after the World War II, so that's not really surprising. But again, more cities and more people going from city to city, people that I don't care about yet. What's next? Hammers on Bone by Cassandra Caw. Really short. I'm surprised I haven't read it yet. I'm usually jumping all over these short books. I Want You to Kill My Stepdad. Much like There Was Blood Everywhere. I'm down. I like it. Mid-tier. Yeah, I would go on a second date with that book. That book's pretty short, though. I don't think our relationship would last very long. The Night Sessions by Ken MacLeod. There's a robot, so I think we're in the sci-fi area. I tried to group these sort of by genre, but I didn't. Science fiction, said the robot, has become science fact. It's like between bottom and mid-tier. I'm not, like, mad about it, but I also don't really care that much. All right, Radiant Cool by Dan Lloyd. Got some noir vibes from the cover. I think this is also sci-fi. Something about like neuroscience. I don't know. It seemed really cool in the bookstore, so I got it. Acknowledgements. Prologue. In the first days of April of last year, a young philosopher, Miranda Sharp, was tempered in the furnace of extraordinary events. I feel like that kind of describes like every character in books. That's like why we're reading it, because you're going through extraordinary events and we want to know what they are. So I feel like that's a little unnecessary. So this is going right next to Night Sessions in like not bad, not mid. Not stoked about it, but not going to give it away. Greg Egan's, I have never known how to pronounce this word. Diaspora? I don't know, but that's what it's called. I have not read any Greg Egan. I don't think. Yatima surveyed the Doppler-shifted stars around the polis, following the frozen concentric waves of color across the sky from expansion to convergence. While I enjoy expansion to convergence, I'm not really in the mood for space, nor am I in the mood for like real hard sci-fi, with the exception of the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy. So this just really does nothing for me. It feels like way too smart right now. So I'm going to put that at the bottom. I like smart stuff, but not that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Adrian Tchaikovsky's Cage of Souls. I bought it because it was so pretty. I haven't heard the best things about this, and I've never read any Adrian Tchaikovsky. Where to begin? I can't. That is like the worst way to start a book. Sorry, Adrian. Where to begin? Just begin. I'm already here. I already bought the book. Arthur C. Clarke and Frederick Pohl, The Last Theorem. Probably something really mathematical that I'm also not going to be in the mood for, like Greg Egan, because it's just too smart for me right now. The incidents at Pearl Harbor lay in the future, and the United States was still at peace when a British warship steamed into Nantucket with what was later called the most valuable cargo ever to reach American shores. I want to know what that cargo is, and yeah, I want to know. And this is weird. This is just the first preamble, so it's like the first prologue. There's a second preamble. There's a third preamble. I think just the fact that I'm skipping forward to see what's going on means that I'm interested in this. So I'm going to put this in the middle tier. We have not added a book to that top tier since Pale Fire. So, and we have more Adrian Tchaikovsky, Children of Time. I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't read this book. I think it's about like spiders. I like spiders. There were no windows in the Bryn 2 facility. Rotation meant that outside was always down, underfoot, out of mind. I just like don't want to be in space right now. Bottom tier. I feel like I have 4 tiers. I'm not very good at dating. Alan Garner's Redshift. Very short. Don't know what it's about, but Redshift, this is the sci-fi section again. Just not feeling sci-fi right now. Shall I tell you? That's it. No, yeah, just tell me. Yes, tell me. I'm here. I bought the book. Mary Doria Russell's The Sparrow. It was predictable in hindsight. No. Bottom. Oh, kind of running out of sci-fi here. Steven Erikson, my man. We've got Rejoice, A Knife to the Heart. This is a first contact sci-fi story. I know Steven won't let me down, so not gonna lie. No matter what the first line of this book is, it's gonna go in my wanna date it pile. Space was astir. Steve, that's just the prologue. Let's give chapter 1 a shot. 3 smokers were hanging out outside the bar on Cook Street. It's okay. It's middle. It's between no and maybe. Oh, Cat's back. Here to turn the camera off again. That's what happened earlier with all the cuts. Stephen Donaldson, The Real Story. First book in the Gap cycle. I've not read any Stephen Donaldson. There are a lot of pages before the first page. Most of the crowd at Mallory's Bar and Sleep over in Delta Sector had no idea what was really going on. Me neither. That's how I feel every time I'm at a bar, so it's mid. Not bad. Not stoked. Probably give him my number and then I hope he doesn't call. Tim Powers, The Anubis Gates. I think this is like a time travel book. I love the cover. I love like Egyptian flair. From between 2 trees at the crest of the hill, a very old man watched. With a nostalgic longing he thought he'd lost all capacity for, as the last group of picnickers packed up their baskets, mounted their horses, and rode away south. They moved a little hastily, for it was a good 6 miles back to London, and the red sun was already silhouetting the branches of the trees along the River Brent, 2 miles to the west. This completely lost me. I didn't absorb a single word of this paragraph. And it is a paragraph. And there are a lot of words in it, and it's just people going places and doing stuff, and I don't care about any of them or what they're doing. This is the bottom. Not calling you back. Shelley Jackson's Half-Life. This is a book about conjoined twins. You should have received 2 copies. I'm kind of into this. Copies of what? There's like a form that she's filling out, and I want to know what it is. This is going in like good mid, and I only have a few left. I have no idea how long I've been doing this for, but now there's a cat on the bookshelf. All right, this is getting into some fantasy series that I have not started yet. First up, we have Malice by John Gwynne, first book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. I've had this for so long, and I've never opened it. Forest litter crunched under Evnis's feet, his breath misting as he whispered a curse. Don't care. What's the curse? Tell me the curse. The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham, first book in the Dagger and Coin series. Let's see. Daniel Abraham. I didn't like the other one. Oh, but he spelled prologue correctly this time. The apostate pressed himself into the shadows of the rock and prayed to nothing in particular, that the things riding mules in the pass below him would not look up. You know what? I've read this prologue. The prologue's really good. I don't really care about the first line, but the prologue is good. So, I can't take it out of the running just because I made a mistake. What are you doing? I'm going to put this in the top mid. I would like to read that someday. Mask of Mirrors. This is the first book in the something trilogy, Rook and Rose. Literature Science Alliance is going to be mad, and I think she's the one who really likes this series. The lodging house had many kinds of quiet. Please do not silence and 3 parts me. M.A. Carrick, I don't know about that. This is like bottom mid. All right. The Ninth Reign, Jen Williams. First book in the, not Winter Night, Winnowing Flame. I have some friends that really like this book. Will We Get Into Trouble? Remember how earlier I was like, oh, usually I'm not this picky. Look at all these books that I want to read. That ended almost as soon as I said that. I put that in the bottom. Tad Williams, The Dragonbone Chair, first book in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. That should be a quadrilogy because that last book, oh my gosh, that thing is huge. Author's introduction, author's note, author's warning, foreword. Come on, Tad. On this day of days, there was an unfamiliar stirring deep inside the dozing heart of the Hayholt, in the castle's bewildering warren of quiet passages and overgrown, ivy-choked courtyards, in the monks' holes and the damp, shadowed chambers. I love it. That is descriptive. It's luxurious. It reminds me of that other one, the guy who came in and misrepresented himself with chapter 1 when I should have read the prologue. Oh my gosh, this cat is about to jump straight down on this. Come on, get down. I'm putting this... I might put this in top tier. That is a competition for the books in that small stack. Is that it? Oh, only a couple left. I've read Bel Canto. I don't know why that's in here. That's a good book. Getting a little squirrely here at the end. Scott Baker, not going by our Scott Baker this time, Neuropath. I love his Prince of Nothing trilogy, and I'm about to read his Aspect Emperor series. Acknowledgements, author's note, quote from Schopenhauer. Ooh, like that. Love Schopenhauer. You should know better. That's what I'm talking about. I like this. This is going in top tier. You should know better. I should know better. We have Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler. I am very intrigued by this book. I know it's like super meta. It's like the narrator who knows that he's narrating a book, talking to a reader who knows they're reading the book. It's weird. You are about to begin reading Italo Calvino's new novel, If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler. See? Love it. That's great. I love that, like, wordplay and just meta quality. Love it. Going in the top tier. We're coming back. We had like 3 in a row there. And the last book, super random choice here, we have Doug Stanhope's Digging Up Mother, a Love Story. I was so excited to find this and buy it and get it, and then I never opened it. Love Doug Stanhope. So funny. Okay, preface, no. On Thursday, I got a call from one of Mother's caregivers. That's it. I'm gonna put this in like bottom of mid. So ended up with most of these books being in bottom of mid tier, with about the same amount of books next in higher mid tier and no tier, and then the smallest amount of books in the absolute yes tier. So I'm going to probably add those to my TBR, like to be read sooner rather than later. I'm glad I did this. I feel like I got a good, like, picture of, well, not really. It was the first line, but I can, like, stop reading a book within 2 pages if the writing style isn't doing it for me. So first lines are very important to me. And now I have some more books that I am going to read sooner, and that's very exciting. So I'm going to read them all at the same time. Thanks for coming on this date with me, and I'll see you next time.